All right, curious minds, welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're digging into something, well, truly monumental. It's a breakthrough in a long, long pursuit of justice. We're talking about admissions that could genuinely reshape how we understand a horrific event from recent history.
Indeed. We're sifting through some quite startling new confessions, yes, but also looking at the extensive history surrounding the 26/11 Mumbai terror attacks.
Right.
Our mission today really is to understand not just what has finally come to light after all these years, but, why it matters so much right now and what kind of ripples this might send across the global stage.
Okay.
We've got verified details, deep analysis, and frankly, a fascinating timeline that leads us right to this point.
So think of this as your essential guide, your shortcut, really, to understanding a crucial chapter in international terrorism and diplomacy. We're dissecting these recent confessions from a key figure, Tahawwur Rana, and exploring how his admissions are bringing critical long-sought details to light about the 2008 Mumbai attacks. It highlights this incredibly complex web of involvement and, well, its implications.
Absolutely. It's a story that's far from over.
Let's set the scene first, because while many of you listening know the haunting echoes of 26/11 well, it's always powerful to just pause and remember the scale of what happened.
It really is.
If you cast your mind back, November 26 to 29, 2008, Mumbai, India's financial heart, just gripped by an unimaginable nightmare. 10 Pakistani terrorists linked to Lashkar-e-Taiba, Lati, infiltrated the city by sea.
And what unfolded was just unprecedented, a sustained assault. They launched coordinated attacks, hitting multiple high-profile spots almost simultaneously. We're talking the Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj terminus,
Yeah.
CSMT, that huge train station.
Always blessing.
Exactly. Then the iconic Taj Mahal Palace Hotel, the Oberoi Trident, Nariman House, the Jewish Center, among others. The coordination was chilling. And the siege lasted a staggering 60 hours, just relentless terror. Tragically, 166 people lost their lives, including many foreign nationals, and hundreds more were injured. It remains one of the deadliest attacks in India's history.
And the context here is crucial, isn't it? This consistent thread through the narrative. Laliti, this Pakistan-based group, designated terrorist by the U.S., UN, India, often linked to activities in Kashmir.
Yes, that link has always been there.
And for, gosh, over a decade now, India has consistently pointed the finger at Pakistan's main intelligence agency, the ISI, accusing them of supporting groups like Laditi.
Which has always been, incredibly sensitive, fiercely debated on the world stage. Pakistan has always denied it.
Exactly. Denials have been the standard response.
And that long-standing accusation, that dynamic, is precisely what's coming into much sharper focus now with these revelations. It feels like pieces are finally clicking into place.
Okay, so let's bring in the man at the center of this recent storm, Tahawwur Rana. Who is he exactly?
Right. Rana. He's a Pakistani-Canadian businessman. Also, interestingly, a former Pakistani army captain. And he's been deeply entangled in terrorism investigations for quite some time.
Not just Mumbai.
Not just Mumbai, no. Also a foiled plot against a Danish newspaper back in 2009. So his name has been, let's say, on the radar for years.
And his journey to this point
Well,
has been quite something.
oh, absolutely. A global legal marathon, really. He was first arrested in the U.S. back in 2009, not long after the Mumbai attacks, convicted in 2011 providing material support to terrorism. Got a 14-year sentence.
Served a chunk of that.
He did. But then, remarkably, he was released early in 2020. Health grounds related to COVID-19.
Wow.
But India, recognizing his potential significance, didn't let it go. They pursued his extradition relentlessly. Years of complex legal back and forth diplomatic talks.
And that finally bore fruit?
It did. April 4th, 2025,
Yeah.
the U.S. Supreme Court dismissed his final appeal against extradition. That was the key moment.
The final hurdle cleared.
Exactly. And by May 2025, just last month, he was on Indian soil, placed in the National Investigation Agency's, the NIA's judicial custody, in Tihar Jail, Delhi.
And his custody was just extended.
Yes, until July 9th. It just shows that the sheer perseverance, years of sustained effort by India to bring him to face justice in India.
Okay, so he's in custody, being interrogated, and this is where it gets, well, explosive, this word being used.
It really is.
July 7th, just a few days ago. Reports emerge, corroborated by multiple credible sources apparently, that Rana is making some truly significant admissions.
Admissions many thought might never come. After all this time, he's talking.
And what's he saying?
This is pivotal. He's confessed to being in Mumbai during the attack.
During the actual 60-hour siege.
During that period, yes. And not just being there passively. He admitted to actively conducting reconnaissance. scouting key targets like the CSMT train station.
The boots on the ground.
Boots on the ground involvement in the planning phase. This moves him from maybe an indirect supporter to someone directly involved in gathering intelligence for the operation. That's a major shift.
Huge. But there's more, right, about bigger picture connections.
Yes. And this connects directly back to that long-standing debate, the ISI link. He's explicitly confirming direct ties between Lashkar-e-Taiba and Pakistan's ISI.
Confirmation from someone on the inside, essentially.
Pretty much. He revealed he personally underwent multiple training sessions with Loti between 2003 and 2004. That's years before the attacks.
Planning long in advance?
It suggests so. And chillingly, he described Loti not just as some ideological group, but operating more like a sophisticated spy network, coordinated directly with the ISI.
Wow. That reframes things considerably, not just rogue actors.
That's the implication, yes. From his account, it points towards a more integrated operation.
And what about his business? The immigration center in Mumbai.
Ah, yes. That aligns perfectly with what the NIA alleged way back in their 2011 charge sheet against him. He acknowledged his immigration center wasn't just some random front.
He was part of the plot.
An integral part, yes, used for the terror operation itself. He admitted financial transactions were disguised as business expenses. It shows deep strategic planning, logistics, hiding in plain sight.
Incredible level of detail.
Yeah.
And there was something else about his past.
Yes, another layer. He admitted the Pakistani army sent him to Saudi Arabia during the first Gulf War, the Khalij War.
So a decades-long connection.
It underscores a remarkably long association with Pakistan's military and potentially its intelligence structures. Decades. It adds, well, a lot of complexity when discussing state actors versus non-state actors. And now Mumbai police are gearing up to formally arrest him, specifically for the 26/11 attacks, which could open up even more lines of investigation.
So these aren't just unverified claims floating around. You've looked into this.
Absolutely. We've cross-referenced these emerging reports with everything available. Past court documents, intelligence summaries, investigative reporting over the years. No contradictions found in the core claims being reported now. The timeline fits perfectly. And what's really fascinating, truly, is how Rana's confessions seem to lock in with what we already knew from other sources.
Like a missing piece.
Exactly. Like a final, crucial piece of a very dark, very complex puzzle suddenly slotting into place.
Which brings us to David Coleman Headley. People will remember that name. Rana's associate.
Right. Headley, already serving 35 years in the U.S. for his role. He was the one who did extensive reconnaissance in Mumbai. Multiple visits.
Undercover.
Yes, posing as someone working for a fake immigration consultancy. An idea Rana himself now confirms he helped set up. They were working together on that front.
So Headley already talked about ISI involvement.
He did. Back in 2010, during his own confessions and testimony, he alleged ISI funding for his reconnaissance trips, which aligns directly with what Rana is reportedly saying now, independently.
So two separate sources, years apart, pointing in the same direction.
Precisely. This interconnected web, the consistency between their accounts, it strongly suggests a coordinated plot with planning and support potentially reaching quite high levels.
Makes the denials harder to maintain.
It certainly does. Though, of course, it remains an incredibly sensitive diplomatic issue. Requires very careful handling given the state actor implications.
So let's talk about those implications, the bigger picture. Diplomatically, this could be massive, right?
Potentially, yes. India has, for so long, accused Pakistan of state-sponsored terrorism, presenting evidence over the years. Pakistan has always, just as consistently, denied it.
Saying groups like Lit-T act alone.
Exactly, independent actors. Now, with Rana's admissions, India has what appears to be powerful new testimony, first-hand accounts.
Leverage.
Potential leverage, yes. Internationally, maybe at the UN in bilateral talks, to apply renewed pressure on Pakistan. It's like, after all the denials, someone deeply involved is finally corroborating India's long-held position.
It feels like a significant shift in the narrative, at least.
It does shift the burden of proof even further. However,
There's always a however.
There is. We need to be realistic. While this is undoubtedly a major moral and legal win for India, expecting immediate, significant policy shifts from Pakistan, that's probably unlikely.
What's that?
Deeply entrenched strategic interests, national narratives built over decades, it's unlikely they'd suddenly reverse course publicly.
So what response might we expect?
It could range from continued, perhaps even more vehement denial, maybe attempts to discredit Rana, possibly even some form of diplomatic countermove. It certainly adds more complexity to an already very strained relationship.
Not a simple resolution, then.
Far from it. This is likely another chapter in a very long, ongoing geopolitical struggle.
So, stepping back, what really stands out to you from all this?
For me, two things. First, for the families of the victims, after more than 15 years, this must offer at least a glimmer of, well, validation. A sense that the full truth might finally emerge, that accountability is still being pursued.
That must be incredibly important. Justice, however slow.
Absolutely. And second, for India, it undoubtedly strengthens its long-held stance against cross-border terrorism on the global stage. It validates the marathon effort they've put into seeking justice.
A marathon, not a sprint, as you said.
Definitely. And as Mumbai police move to formally arrest Rana and the NIA continues its interrogations, this isn't over.
More could come out.
Very possibly. These interrogations could uncover even more details, potentially implicating others who've stayed in the shadows until now. It feels like a truly pivotal moment, one that could reshape historical accounts and diplomatic dynamics for years.
Giving clearer answers, finally.
Hopefully, yes.
Yeah.
Clearer answers to horrific events.
Which brings us to our final provocative thought for you listening today. In a world absolutely swamped with information, where accountability for past atrocities often feels like it just slips away, how might confessions like Tahawwur Rana's painstakingly gathered over years through sheer persistence and international cooperation, how might they change the global view on state involvement in terrorism? And, maybe more importantly, what responsibility does the international community really have to keep pushing relentlessly for that accountability, no matter how many years it takes? Something to think about.